Good morning, Justice Warriors. I am so happy to see you guys. It was hard for me to wait until 9 o'clock. I'm usually like completely done with my video by now. I really wanted to watch the new YouBack Tube Jeff video that he just put out last night for the members only. And I also saw one that Squirrel Girl did, kind of I don't know if it was like a reaction to it, but I don't want to give anything away. If you guys want to support his channel, it's $5 a month. And if you want to just wait for the video to go public, I think that happens in 2 or 3 days from now. So um he did decide on a name for his project. So he went with Operation Truck Stop, which I think is good, because if he tried to do something with the JFK, which was a really, really good suggestion, it just pulls in all the other JFK stuff. So it kind of convolutes the whole thing. Anyway, I want to make sure that I always say that everything I say is my opinion only, and it's for education and conversation and entertainment, right? That's YouTube. So freedom of speech, baby, and fair use. Anyway, we're really all about seeking the truth. When people talk about team this, team that, aren't we all team Kylie? Aren't we all team truth? If I do have anybody in here with me, if you could say something, then I'll know that you can hear me. That would be much appreciated. If I'm on my own, that's all right too. I don't mind. This wasn't going to be a very long one this morning, because there's just a lot more videos that I want to catch up on. There was one by Candace Starr. I think she did it last night. Oh, hey, love for true crime. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, Kebs. So I think some people were telling me about this Candace Starr video last night that she just did about Jagger and Kylie's videotapes, the videotapes that I think he made with the two of them in it, and then another videotape that she used as an example that had no Kylie or Jagger in it, but she thought a very similar type of mentality. And I would agree. I would definitely agree that that was similar mentality. And I just want to say, in the video that Jagger made on the pier, when as he's turning it on, says, I don't know, maybe it's in the text that he wrote that, that you don't know that I did this. You never knew that I made this video. And then he said, I know he says something in the text about how I knew I was going to need this memory of you and the sunset and all that. And it's really concerning to me that when he made that video, that's actually hard evidence of him knowing that something was going to happen to Kylie. I don't know how long before her disappearance and then demise that video was made, but it doesn't look like it was that long before. I mean, she was only 16 years old, going on 17. So she was changing a lot over the recent years. And to me, it looks like it was very possibly made just in the last few weeks before her passing. I don't know. I doubt it was more than a few months, though. I seriously doubt that it was more than a few months. And the season, it's summer. So probably not a year ago summer, because I think she would have looked a little bit younger. And a year ago, they were still together. In the video, from all the body language, even the way he's walking up to her, it doesn't look to me like they're together. It looks to me like he's approaching her, hoping that she's going to be receptive to his affection. And she kind of is. She seems a little standoffish, but they're almost having like a subtle argument in their body language and in their play. And you guys got to know, in case you don't, but you probably do, that the way we play is very much truth. It's truth serum. So, for instance, when a psychiatrist or a psychologist is working with a kid, they will play a game with them. whether it's cards or chess or checkers, Clue, whatever it is, the way we play the game is just it just shows how we approach everything in life. So that video is a really good example of their relationship. He keeps threatening to throw her in the water. He basically says, I can do it if I want to. And she's freaking out saying, don't do it. And then she fights back and she's, pretending to kick him in the crotch, or she is pushing him in the crotch, and he runs away holding his crotch after he pretended to try to throw her in the water twice, not just once, but twice. And then how ironic is that, or how poetic is that, that he just happened to be throwing her in the water or pretending to or threatening to, whatever. How interesting that she ended up in the water, right? I mean, come on, ridiculous. Anyway, since the outset of this, it has always felt to me like the movie Heathers. A lot of people say Mean Girls. In my mind, Mean Girls was a regurgitation of Heathers. So Heathers was done in the 90s and it had Winona Ryder and a few other really good actors, Christian Slater before the downfall of Christian Slater. And it was about the three popular girls in the high school that were each named Heather. And you had Heather number one, Heather number two, Heather number three. And then they started dropping like flies. I won't give away the movie. If you haven't seen it, I think that it's kind of a modern day classic. Um, anyway, the reason that I'm bringing that up is because it felt like that immediately. There were certain particulars about this story from day one that made me think, what the heck is going on here, people? And I think that a lot of us had that same kind of grab. Um, we know immediately the instinct. So I've mentioned before the movie called Kurt and Courtney by Nick Broomfield. It was released in February of 1998, and it's a documentary. It's very good, in my opinion. Rotten Tomatoes might have said something different, but Courtney Love had contacted Tom Grant, a private investigator in Los Angeles from the Yellow Pages, after Kurt had allegedly been missing for a couple of days. And when she picked up the phone and called this guy, this private investigator from the Yellow Pages, he immediately got suspicious of her. Her story wasn't adding up. And he told her straight up in that first conversation, he said, if you hire me and I find out that you're involved, I'm not going to go easy on you, basically. Essentially, that's what he said to her. So, she wasn't worried about anything. And she said, I'm hiring you. And he went up to Seattle and he looked for Kurt and he didn't find Kurt. Another couple of days later, an electrician found Kurt, and on the property where Courtney was sure that he was, and kept telling Tom to go and look at this part and look at that part. There were a lot of red flags for Tom Grant. Tom Grant is a big part of Nick Broomfield's movie. He spent the rest of his career working on Kurt Cobain's investigation without Courtney paying him anymore. And in fact, she did everything she could in her power to destroy him. So I'm not going to give away the movie. It's a great movie. The other thing that I have mentioned a couple of times from that movie is the character El Duce. I think I said El Diablo. I always forget his name. His name is Eldon Hoke, and he was interviewed by Nick for the documentary, and he was decapitated 48 hours later, hit by a train, allegedly. Definitely decapitated. And when he was getting interviewed by Nick, he claimed that Courtney Love had contacted him, I think a week before Kurt died, and offered him $50,000 to shoot Kurt. And I think he even made a joke like, "Watch, I'm next," or something like that. I'm pretty sure he did. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. Um, but for those who don't know, I was around that same circle of people where Kurt and Courtney fell in love and got together in like 90. Um, and I got married in 92. So my husband and I went to Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington, which was kind of where Nirvana was getting their start. They got signed in 90. They got really big in 92. Um, Kurt died in 94. It was all very short-lived. But Courtney made Kurt sign a prenup because she already had acquired some money from her rock and roll endeavors, and she didn't want to have to share it with him if the marriage didn't work out. So when they divorced and they signed all the papers before the ink dried, he happened to drop dead. And it's just been a hot mess ever since. Courtney's a hot mess. Her poor daughter, Frances Bean, has had to sue her. She had to get a restraining order against her mother, and she included her pets. And the restraining order against Courtney Love and her daughter's pets was granted, which is like the most unusual thing you've ever heard of in a court of law, but it was necessary because Frances Bean's pets kept dying. And once her mother had a restraining order against her and her pets weren't dropping dead anymore. It's very interesting. I mean, it's just gruesome, and it's really sad. Back to Nirvana, Olympia, Washington. That wasn't a cool town back then. It's kind of gotten cool now because that's where Nirvana was starting, but they never said that they started there. They pretended they started in Seattle because Seattle was cool. Anyway, Nirvana kind of put Olympia on the map because between Seattle and Aberdeen is where Olympia is, and Aberdeen is actually where Kurt was from. So Aberdeen is a smaller town outside of Olympia going west, and it's really dark and it's really dreary. It rains there all the time. It's right by the rainforest, and it's a logging town and kind of a ghost town. So people used to make a lot of money there in the logging industry, and it's just a very depressed economy and a very depressed town. And it really kind of summarizes the whole feeling of Nirvana. But there was a lot of great music coming out of that area at the time, which I've mentioned. How I was not a Nirvana fan. I was a Beck fan, and you had to pick. So, and Beck doesn't sell himself as an Olympia band either because, like I said, Olympia was not cool back then. Nobody had ever heard of it, even though it's the state capital. It's a small town. So anyway, let's get into the Kiely Rodni case. Music is a huge, huge element of the Kiely Rodni case, and we have all of these amazing content creators that are writing music for Kiely, and I love it. I think it's really amazing, some of these songs. I'm a big fan of Kevin Neese's song My New Friends, and I'm also a big fan of T-Rev 757. What's it called? Truckee? Something Truckee? I have to look at that. Anyway, I know there's been other songs too that I haven't yet had the pleasure of listening to. So if you know any and you want to drop the link in my comments or in the chat, that would be great. And let's see, Love for True Crime. Good morning. And let's read this one by Alicia P. Let's see. I'm gonna pin that. And she says, and actually it wasn't that Courtney was trying to keep Kurt from getting her supposed money. Courtney wanted Kurt's money and she got it all. Right. But she had him sign a prenup in the beginning, and she wasn't going to get anything. He had like $150 million estate, and because of her own prenup, it wasn't going to be coming her way. But luckily for her, he had a terrible situation and she got it all. So It's pretty nuts. It's pretty disgusting. And having lived in the area at the time, and all of his fans were all suspicious of her and thought it was a big conspiracy. And I was just like, oh God, come on, people. Stop with the conspiracy theories. It took me another like 30 years before I started to pay attention to that stuff and thought, wow, look at this. So it wasn't until COVID and the stay at home order, and I kind of got caught up on all my Nirvana stuff and became a Nirvana fan. So, anyway, my computer is low on battery. I grabbed um, some notes and I just want to get down into it. Like I said, I wanted to just focus on our friend Kiely Rodny, and finding truth and honor for her. Um, you know, the only narrative that I want to follow is the truth. I don't have an agenda. I don't want it to be foul play. I don't want it to be not foul play. I want to find the truth. And if people wronged her, she needs justice. Um, no sugarcoating, no apologies. If people wronged Kiely, she needs justice. And it seems to me very evident that people did wrong her, in my opinion. So, um, let's see. Moving forward, let's talk about Sammy Smith, who's been put herself as number one suspect from the outset, insisting that she was the last one to see Kiely alive, insisting that she was the last one to speak with Kiely, insisting that she and Kiely got drunk together, sharing the same cups and um, peeing together in the woods and all these things that she just absolutely insisted. She put herself right with Kiely like a Siamese twin attached at the hips, and um, that makes her suspicious. That would make anybody suspicious in a situation where somebody disappeared and then is later found dead, obviously. So, we know that Sammy's parents are private, they own a private investigative firm. And we know that it appears that she's being protected, right? That's pretty obvious. So, you know, there's been a lot of posts that these people have put up, that Jagger has put up and Sammy has put up, that are very telling and are very cryptic. Sammy has a thing for all these twisted videos of her threatening people and hurting people and looking like the Incredible Hulk and just, you know, dancing and enjoying herself when her good friend has just been found deceased in the last few hours. It's all extremely strange, and I would be making an understatement if I were to say it raises some yellow flags. It absolutely raises multiple red flags, as does Jagger's behavior. Um, and as I like to say, and for that we can thank them because they keep documenting it. So even when they put things up and delete it, people screen record and people screenshot. That's just kind of a thing. So it's extremely hard to pull a shotgun trigger with your toe and miraculously enters the back of the head. Courtney lied. Thank you. And I agree. And yeah, people that don't know what she's talking about, I'm sure a lot of people do, but people who don't, go ahead and watch this movie, Kurt and Courtney, by Nick Broomfield. It's really good. And from the toxicology, Kurt, I meant to Google this. I think he had like 5 times the amount of a lethal dose of heroin in his system or more. And it was such a high amount that he would have been completely out cold before the needle was empty. So there was evidence there with his body that he had shot up some heroin. And there was a long barrel shotgun that the coroner's report said that he pulled the trigger with his toe or something and shot himself in the back of the head. But remember who the coroner is, remember who the police chief was, and remember who may have had them in a back pocket, may have had them in bed, literally. So, You know, there was a movie that came out a few years ago that was actually a book that I read when I was like 10 that I loved. And I have not seen the movie, but I loved the book. And it has seemed to me like it applies to what happened with Kylie in August. The name of it is I Know What You Did Last Summer. I know it was extremely popular, especially with younger people. And ever since this has happened, ever since Kylie's disappearance and then the subsequent discovery of her from Adventures with Purpose, I've thought about that book that I loved so much. It was so haunting and so creepy. And I guess in the movie, there's like some car racing, I think is kind of the main theme, where I think in the book it was more sinister, not so much. I mean, it was an accident, but a more sinister accident. Um, and I don't know if it was a sinister accident in the movie or just more of an accident. Anyway, it seems like it's similar to what may or may not have happened with these kids. And, I've spoken about the photographs that Squirrels on Fire showed at the end of that 10-hour live she did on Halloween night. And one of those photographs had skulls on posts stuck into the sand around a bonfire. And those photographs I think she found with a Google search of Truckee August 4th, August 5th, August 6th, or something like that. But what it showed to me is that this is just kind of what Truckee kids do on summer nights. It's a small town. There's not a lot going on, especially in the summer. Their action in that town is in the winter when all these world-class Olympic skiers are coming and hanging out and drinking at the bars and eating at the restaurants and all that stuff, soaking in the hot tubs. So I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm at 20 minutes and I haven't been doing these shorter videos. I've been doing these long videos. And I know some of you guys love it, and I actually love it, but I want to try to do a few shorter ones, um, just because I know that we're all so busy. So I'm going to do another one today at about 1 o'clock. And I'm going to read a few of your questions and statements. Sorry that I haven't as of yet, except for the one at 9:19 that I did not pin. I had pinned that other one. So I'm going to switch it up, replace pinned message. Just jumped on. How you doing? I'm doing great. I hope everybody else is too. I did not do my time stamping. It is Wednesday, November 2nd, 9:25 a.m. So I started this just a couple minutes after 9. For the most part, I'm going to be trying to do a schedule of a morning video at about 8 and an afternoon video at about 1. I'm going to try to stick with that as a schedule for Monday through Friday, and then maybe just one video on Saturday and one video on Sunday. I'm hoping to do the StreamYard thing in the next couple of days, and then that will give like a notification when when a live is going to start. I really like doing the lives. I really like having the interaction. Um, Best movie on Kurt and Courtney. And I don't know if you're saying the one that I named or another one. I really liked Montage of Heck as well, which was um, kind of a documentary on Kurt as a person and as an artist. And it didn't get into his death at all. It just went from his birth up to his death. I saw that maybe, I don't know, 5 years ago or so. And it really opened my eyes of what I was missing out on by having chosen Beck and not Nirvana back in 1990 when they both were like gaining a lot of traction and playing at parties in Olympia. And I went to Nirvana's big performance at the college, and Kurt was just falling down drunk, and it was really pathetic, and he sounded like crap. and, and that just kind of colored the whole thing for me. And so I was very judgmental. I was trying to get my act together. I was in my senior year and I was in recovery. I was really new in recovery. I was just like, oh God, these people. And, Beck was a super talented alternative kid, even younger than Kurt. Kurt's the exact same age as me. So if he was alive, he'd be 55. We were both born in 67. And I think Beck's maybe 10 years younger. No, 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 no. Just like 5 years younger or less. Anyway, I get very excited about talented musicians. I get very excited about talented artists of other sorts. But with Kiely, she seemed like a creative genius, but especially with the music. So I think music has just been a huge part of this. And I'm going to read a couple more of these and then wrap it up. Replace pinned message. Good morning, America. I'm still thinking how quickly they cleaned up the campsite after 200 to 300 people blows me away. Thank you, Alistair Grant. I appreciate that comment, especially because um, you know, we don't know that it was an actual party of 200 or 300 people. And one of the things that those photographs that Squirrels on Fire showed is that they kind of had these gatherings most nights at the beach with fire and, alcohol fueled and drug fueled. And that this could have been one of those regular old nights that then they tried to keep adding more people to it to hide who was actually involved. Great 10-hour live with Squirrels on Fire. I'm going to have to pin that just because I do think it was a great 10-hour live, but I just have to laugh at these extremely long lives because, we're all so busy. You can listen to them at double time. I'm going to be doing that more and more just because there's so much good material that I want to cover. I saw Nirvana twice and they were horrible live. I was an Alice in Chains fan. The saddest story ever is Lane Stanley. I've heard of Alice in Chains, of course. I have not heard the name Lane Stanley, but I will look into it because um, I like to know what's going on with these people, with these creative young adults in our community. I don't know any teenagers that clean up after a party while they are still drunk. That don't match up. Good point. And even though I only just pinned, I'm gonna leave the Nirvana one up for a minute because I just pinned that. Anyway, what I have heard, and I think a lot of us have heard, is that parents went out there and started cleaning up before sunrise, like maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and that the local law enforcement central dispatch people that worked there were calling their children at the party and telling them to get the hell out of there. So if that's true, that could just be rumor, but if that's true, that's so gross because central dispatch is like your catch-all for the health and safety of the public. And if there was something going on that they wanted their own children to flee the scene, they should have been sending first responders there for whatever it was that was going on. So if that's true, that absolutely sickens me. And I hope that everybody that was involved in any way, shape, or form will be prosecuted. But, you got to start small. You got to start with your prime suspects or your main persons of interest is a much happier way to say prime suspect, persons of interest. We all know who those are. And unfortunately, it was the people that Kiely probably trusted the most. And let me add that you cannot hurt somebody unless you can gain their trust, usually. I mean, of course, you could, shoot someone from a distance without gaining their trust. They might not even know you're there. But generally speaking, when someone is going to harm someone or kill someone, they have to know the person and they have to gain their trust. That's why police, law enforcement, investigators, the first thing they want to do is look at the closest people to the victim, the friends and family. And even if they're not suspects or persons of interest, they're going to be able to give you the most information to figure out who the persons of interest and suspects might be. And it is a very, very, very small percentage of any criminal activity that is stranger danger. We all know that, right? So back to Miss Kiely. Let's just really focus on justice for Kiely. And yes, are we on our way? Um Man, you're up here with all the great comments, and I apologize. I know there's other great comments that I'm missing. Um, but I like this one. The parents were rumored to have been at the party. I mean, I don't like it, but I want to focus on that because I would like it if us as a YouTube truth seeking community can try to validate or verify or um, invalidate if that's accurate or not. Because when you say the parents, I don't know if you're referring to Kylie's parents or other kids' parents, but I think we need to know everybody who was at the party. Aw, Miss Zena, love you. I think we need to know everybody who was at the party, and everybody needs to be investigated. And I'm hoping that there is a true, honest, real investigation for Kiely and for her justice and for her honor. Harsh Reality has an interesting post by someone who stated that Sammy was never Kylie's friend. Yeah, that has been rumored all along. A lot of people have said that. There's no social media anything connecting the two. There's a lot of social media kind of dividing the two. Um, I won't get into that. I just want to wrap it up. I want to stay focused on justice for Kiely. That's why I'm here. That's why I finally got my channel going. That's why I think a lot of people that are focused on justice for Kiely, a lot of them probably had channels already, but then they really started gaining traction with this one because we felt strongly that something was up, that there was injustice happening, and that this young person needs people who care. She needs people who care. And, sadly, in my opinion, she was absolutely betrayed by all of the people that she thought she could trust. And to me, there's just nothing worse than betrayal and disappointment, being disappointed in people that you thought were there for you. I think Sammy wanted Kiely out of the way so she could pursue Jagger. I agree that there was a competitive nature with Sammy and Kiely over not just Jagger, but Nate H also. And probably overperforming because we know that Kiely was an amazing musical performer, and that Sammy, I hate to say it, but probably a pretty skilled, talented actor or actress. I hate to say it because I think she's just a real dirtbag, to be polite. So if they get someone that they don't think money, 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 maybe we could get justice for Kiely. Money mine. Yeah, Barbie on the West Coast. I hate to say it, but she might have been brought here to be humiliated. Barbie on the West Coast. That didn't take, did it? Your other one is still up there. Let's see. Pin. Okay. Um, so I apologize to all the people's comments that I'm skipping over. Like I've said before, I always go back and reread them because there's so much valuable information in there. And I really do apologize for missing it during the live. It does explain the way they reacted when they found out about Kiely being missing. And now you got me all curious about that, Alistair Grant, but I'm going to try just to wrap it up here rather than go back and look. I apologize for waffling. So you guys are the best. I so appreciate all the support, the emotional support, just your time and your attention. This whole thing with YouTube, people talk about the money, and I don't care about the money. I'm not in it for that. Fortunately, I have a very good, stable situation with my life and with my family. Um, and money's money. Money talks. And I'm not going to say that I would refuse money if I get a check from YouTube, because that could happen with all the following and all the subs and all the views. I'm like 250,000 views, you guys. That's crazy. It's only been 2 months and I'm getting really close to 3,000 subs. So don't forget to like and sub and share if you want, if you feel moved. Um, and just know that when you're watching my video or anybody's video, that your time is essentially your money. Nobody needs to be, donating money to any YouTuber to help out their channel if they don't feel like it, or, think that that's just not really a thing. In my case, it's not a thing. I don't have any way for anybody to donate anything. So I just want to be clear about that. Um, but when you watch it, you're helping my channel. So I hope to keep growing. I hope to help in the pursuit of justice for Kiely. I hope to help in the pursuit of justice in general. So if you've been watching my videos, you know how passionate I am about that. And it's just thrilling to have this new creative outlet, basically. So I'm going to wrap it here. And yeah, is Squirrel's on fire in here? She likes to wake up with me in the morning, I know. He isn't reaching out to harsh reality. He's clueless. He could double the investigation. Please, everyone, let Jeff know. It would behoove him to talk to Harsh. Yes, absolutely. I understand where Jeff's coming from because he's feeling spread thin. And yeah, Harsh really wants to connect with him. And I think that would be great. I'm going to do my part, put my 2 cents in there. Wouldn't that be nice? Anyway, you guys have a great morning. Don't forget to eat your veggies, your fruit, your protein, get your exercise, your fresh air, your sunshine. Be nice, relax, breathe, put your feet up, and find what inspires you and do what inspires you, and surround yourself with people that inspire you. And anything that doesn't inspire you, move away from it. Keep it at a minimum. If you can't eliminate it, just keep it at a minimum and keep it at a arm's length distant away, right? So there's my 2 cents. I will talk to you guys in a little bit, and thank you again for joining me. Have a great rest of your morning.